Found it? Did you get it? Thank you. Never seen that before.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 12th, and welcome to our Board of County Commissioners business meeting. Before we begin, we will do our invocation and honor that with a moment of silence, if you'll join me. Okay, thank you very much. I'll call this meeting to order. If you'll all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much for that. Attorney Garcia, do we have certification of the agenda today?
You do, sir. The County Attorney's Office reviewed all matters on the agenda, and you have appropriate jurisdiction over these matters.
Thank you very much. And do any commissioners have disclosures for items on this agenda?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
And I have none either. With that, we'll move on to ceremonies and proclamations, our item 1A. Our item is a request to approve a resolution congratulating the Highlands Ranch Community Association for being named Association of the Year. That's a big deal. And Mike Bailey for being awarded the Community Manager Excellence in Service Award. Maureen Waller and actually Dan Avery presenting for staff. Hi, Dan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm pleased to introduce this item, recognizing HRCA and Mike Bailey for their recent awards. But before I go any further, we have Mike Bailey here in the audience with us, so I'd invite him to make some brief remarks to you.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon. On behalf of the association, our delegates, our board of directors, and the community at large, we thank you very much for this recognition, but not solely for the recognition today, but our true partnership that we have with Douglas County. I would be remiss if I didn't remind all of us here assembled today of the strong collaboration that we have amongst our two entities. And with that being said, of late I've been asked numerous times what our key to success has been, and do we truly have a recipe? And the answer is summed up succinctly with one word: collaboration. That's simply what our recipe is. With our 95 delegates, our 5 board members of our board of directors, our community partners, Douglas County and the Metro District, and our citizens at large, that's our recipe. And together we look for great success in the future. Thank you again today.
Well, Mike, thank you for those comments. If you'll stick around, I'm sure the commissioners have some comments for you as well. Board?
Mike, I would like to thank you for your leadership. You have been at Highlands Ranch Community Association for how long? When did you start?
It's been a long time.
I know it has. I know, because I used to have to come talk to you for lots of things.
18 years.
How many?
18.
18 years. So I have lived in Highlands Ranch for 24 years. And every time I want to change the windows or add an air conditioner or do anything, I need to come, and it's easier for me just to come and talk to you and get the letter and do it there. But you have always been willing to help. And I know that if you did that to me, you didn't even know who I was, that you did that to everybody who came to you for help. And when I drive through Highlands Ranch, it is standard, whether you're on the West Ridge side or the East Ridge side. Each community has its own little flavor, but there is a standard that every home in our community meets. And it's because of the standards that are in place at HRCA. We are the biggest homeowners association in the country, is that right?
That's correct.
And so you can tell later how many homes that is, but I bought my house in Highlands Ranch for a purpose, because I wanted that. I knew it would take a little extra work for me to keep my house in order the way I was supposed to, but that has set the standard for our community. And I'm so proud of Highlands Ranch. I'm not surprised at all that the association won the award and that you specifically won an award, because again, I have had the pleasure of working with you. I don't know how our community would have gotten through the tornado if it weren't for all of our associations working together to help keep our residents intact. And you used the word collaboration. Perfect word. Thank you and congratulations to you and Audra.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
Mike, you've been a great partner for years and years. And even when I was on the Cast Rock Council and we first met, it was, why am I talking to an HOA dude? And yet you're more than just an HOA director. You really are a leader in the community. So it came as no surprise to me that this accolade came your way. I think it's great. I mean, take a little bit of time to revel in in what might in the long term be a minor victory, but it's well earned. So congratulations, Mike, and thanks for coming in so that we could say more nice things about you, pal.
I have a script, Commissioner, if you ever lost for words, but thank you again for your kind words.
Well, we'll have to swap scripts then, no sweat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Well, speaking of stories, I do remember about 20 years ago, graduating from law school, and, we were looking for places to live in Colorado. I'm a fifth-generation Coloradan and a Denver native, and we looked everywhere. And I remember distinctly driving into, it was a university in Highlands Ranch Parkway, really close to the church where we go to, Cherry Hills Community Church. And we all just looked at each other and said, oh my goodness, like what is going on with this community? It's clean, it's bright, it seems really safe. And fast forward 20 years later, and the Highlands Ranch Lone Tree area has really become our home. And we burn up Lincoln Avenue every day traveling to those schools in Highlands Ranch for our 3 kids. But it has been such a tremendous community to be a part of. I often say that our barometer is greatest good for the greatest number, and you think about the number of citizens that you actually serve with all of your commitments and programs and services and committees, and it's astronomical, the number that you serve every year. So it's well-deserved, tremendous thanks, and huge kudos to you. Thank you, Mike, and thanks to Highlands Ranch.
Kind words.
Absolutely. So with that, I'll open it up for any additional citizen comment. Is there any additional citizen comment with regard to this proclamation? Any citizen comment in the room? Okay, any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And with that, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
I have a motion to approve a resolution congratulating the Highlands Ranch Community Association for being named Association of the Year and Mike Bailey being awarded the Community Manager Excellence in Service Award.
Happy to second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. And Mike, I know you keep wanting to run away, but we have our director of photography here, Drew, who's going to do a picture with all of us.
Be honored.
Okay.
I'm going to stand by you because I'm from Highlands Ranch. In the middle?
Okay, thank you for that. So we do have a couple of items from consent that are pretty exciting today. And the first item that I know we're going to actually pull and review is item J. And item J is a contract with Caring Communities of Colorado, LLC, for clinicians, resource specialists, supervision, and operating for the co-responder community response teams in the amount of $522,405 for the period of January 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2024. Maggie Cooper from staff presenting. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. Today we are seeking approval of a contract for services with Caring Communities of Colorado. starting January 1st through April 31st of 2024. Let's see. The contract is in the amount of $522,405. Caring Communities of Colorado is going to be transitioning out of providing clinical staff for the Community Response Team program. As such, the county issued a request for expressions of interest in September of '23, and we are in the midst of evaluating contracts as well as investigating an in-house option to bring staff on as Douglas County employees. That is why this contract is for a period of 4 months. And that is all I have to share.
Great, Maggie, thank you so much. We know this is one of the good news stories of the county and the good work that the county has been engaged with for a long time. That co-response model has been so significant for Douglas County, and we've seen a remarkable savings for our community, whether it's our district attorney's budgets or our sheriff's office budget. All the diversions from emergency rooms and jails is really significant. From a co-response standpoint, we know that our homeless initiative really adopted from the mental health initiative. And our HEART team, which has also had a tremendous amount of success, was really modeled after the co-response team that the mental health initiative has done such a great job with. But with that, let me open it up for any questions or comments from the Board of County Commissioners.
I'll make comments later.
The only comment I have is it's good to see this up and running. It's good to see us expanding the program that has proven to be successful. So, well done, Maggie. I know that you put a lot of work into it.
Thank you.
Maggie, do you have any statistics for us about a specific number of diversions and impacts on the county when it comes to co-response?
I apologize, Commissioner. I do not on hand. I know that the Youth Community Response Team has served over 480 youth this year. We expanded to 2 youth teams, and the Community Response Team program itself has served over 3,000 people since starting in 2016. But I do not have exact figures with me today. I apologize.
Well, that sounded pretty exact to me. That was pretty good. So when the co-response team engages with that 3,000, if they were not available to respond, where would those individuals end up?
Well, in absence of a co-response model for mental health and substance use crises, oftentimes individuals end up in the county jail or in our emergency departments awaiting the proper care and treatment. With the community response team, we're able to divert those individuals to more appropriate services. And if a team is not available, we have partnerships with all of the law enforcement departments in the county for those patrol officers to submit referrals and use their discretion in determining where and how to place individuals experiencing a crisis.
Well, thank you for that. I do remember my first year as a commissioner. It's now almost year 6. I can't believe it. But that first year, the co-response team invited us as commissioners to do a ride-along, and I did mine with the amazing member of the sheriff's office and a clinician. And we went to a near suicide of a young person in Parker that just had a bottle of whiskey. And, the dad was very fearful that he was going to take his own life and continue to drink. And I remember pulling up to that parking lot and thinking I was going to sit in the back of that Suburban, and the co-response team said, "Oh no, Commissioner, you're going up." And so we ended up going up to that apartment, and I got to be a fly on the wall and observe what that co-response team was capable of doing. And that clinician engaging with that expertise with law enforcement as a backdrop in case things got out of control was a perfect synergy. But I often wonder, what happens after those initial contacts? So from your perspective on a co-response team, what sort of services do people get directed to?
Well, our program has a built-in resource specialist component. So once the initial crisis is passed, a referral is made to our resource specialist team. They will reach out and work with the individual to assess their insurance status, what their needs are, and we regularly maintain communication with treatment providers in the community to make sure that they have availability, that they take an individual's insurance, so that way we're able to provide people with, specially curated resources to help their exact situation.
And then do you have some sort of way of doing case management and follow-up with individuals that are on the bubble?
Yes, our resource specialist will work with an individual as long as we need to, and we're a very nimble program, so we're able to do that in a variety of ways, whether that's over the phone or meeting with someone in the community. The Douglas County Mental Health Initiative has also developed the Care Compact, which is a care coordination program designed to support the individuals in our community who have the highest level of need, oftentimes co-occurring disorders, and help families sort of navigate the challenges of finding the appropriate care.
That's great. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have none.
Okay. Oh, sorry, George.
Yeah, so with the co-responder, and Maggie, maybe I just missed it, but I mean, is this just for our co-responder teams with our sheriff's office? Does this also extend out to our municipalities that have the co-response teams?
Yeah, that's correct. The Douglas County model is first of its kind, involving all law enforcement jurisdictions within a single county. The sheriff deputizes all officers on the team, so that way if the sheriff's office teams are not available, the Castle Rock team is able to respond in Parker or in Lone Tree or wherever the crisis may be occurring. So it's a true collaboration of all law enforcement jurisdictions within the county.
Okay, but for this contract, is this just for our sheriff's response teams, or does this extend also into the municipalities?
Oh, I see. I apologize. Yes, this extends to the clinicians that work for Castle Rock, Parker, and Lone Tree are staffed through Caring Communities of Colorado. So this contract covers the municipality clinicians as well.
Okay, so obviously, I mean, those response teams that are in the municipalities, those sworn officers that are a part of those teams, those are covered under the municipal budgets. Is there any mechanism that the county is being compensated by the towns, or is this just kind of a part of the deal? Is we're picking that up, and like, are we taking that from our law enforcement share back? Can you give us a feel for that?
Yes, certainly. So it is a true collaboration. So the county funds the clinical staff through a variety of funding streams: general fund dollars, ARPA dollars, a Behavioral Health Administration grant, as well as a Senate Bill 22-145 grant. So the county takes on the cost of the clinical staff, and all of the law enforcement jurisdictions make an in-kind donation to the program through assigning dedicated staff, their officers and deputies, to the community response team. So the cost of those officers are covered by each jurisdiction and the sheriff's office.
Okay, because, I got to confess to my colleagues, that was always the question I had when I was still on the Castle Rock Council and we adopted the co-response methodology was, listen, we don't do that work in the town usually. We don't have that human services responsibility under state law. And so, this is great getting these details, because I have to confess that was always a question in my mind. And I was a doubting Thomas initially with co-response teams. I voted no the very first time. I did not see the role of government in doing this. And I got to tell you, I got proven wrong, and I'm happy to admit it. It was a case where the data displayed within that first year made it clear that the overall cost savings to the community, they were in the tens of thousands of dollars in Castle Rock. We've seen the higher numbers here at the county level. So, no, I'm really glad we pulled this from the consent agenda so that we could go through these details.
I'll mention that the community response team has released over 600 patrol officers back into service. So when our team arrives on scene, patrol deputies are able to get back to stopping crime and public safety matters, and then our teams, who are especially trained in mental health diversions, are able to step in and take as much time as needed while allowing patrol to get back to their jobs.
Yeah, and that's a key point, because I remember when I first got on the Castle Rock Council, and I had an opportunity to sit down with Police Chief Jack Cawley. Jack made it clear that one of the primary responses they always see, and we're just talking Castle Rock here, we're not even talking countywide, but just in Castle Rock, was mental health. And so you've got police officers trained to be police officers, trained to be law enforcement agents, actually being forced into almost a counselor situation on so many of the calls that they were called out on. And well, that made a big impact on me. Never having been in law enforcement as a career myself, and of course, that's very rarely the case in the military where I do have experience. And so when this was introduced and we started seeing just like you said, Maggie, the police hours return to the street doing law enforcement and not really being diverted to be ad hoc counselors, well, that's when I became a believer. So thanks so much.
Really good line of questioning, Commissioner Teal, and certainly appreciate your service on the Castle Rock Town Council where no doubt we're deeply engaged. I think that was the selling point for me as well, was it was the savings and the diversions and the good news stories that people will never hear about. I know that you all in the Mental Health Initiative have a statistic around what happens just economically, culturally, to a community with one suicide. And it approaches north of $1 million. I mean, just one person taking their life, what that means to their family, their employer, their community is really significant. So we won't hear those stories of how co-response has saved lives and avoided suicidal ideation, but it's tremendous, and it does have an economic impact. So thank you for that. So with that, let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen in the comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay. Any comment online?
No online comments, sir.
Thank you very much. So with that, we'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Well, if it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve item J, and let me get this up real quick. A contract with Caring Communities of Colorado, LLC, for clinicians, resource specialists, supervision, and operating for the co-responder community response teams in the amount of $500,022 and $405 for the period of January 1, 2024 through April 30, 2024. And I don't have, this does not have a project number, so that concludes my motion.
And I'll second that, and I'll just clarify that this isn't a new contract, this is just a 4-month extension of a contract that's been in place for quite a while. Is that correct, Maggie?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. And again, $522,000 is a significant amount, and this is the good work of the county that I think is so important for our public to be aware of and for us to engage on. So really appreciate the work of our staff and our public in supporting the co-response team. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. Moving on to item M from the consent agenda, we have an intergovernmental agreement amendment between Douglas County Human Services and 6 counties for a child welfare pilot project. Dan McKelkey and potentially Ruby presenting for staff. Hi, Ruby. You're not Dan.
Nope, not Dan. Sorry. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ruby Richards on behalf of the Department of Human Services. And I would just say, if I can, I'm here really on behalf of M, N, O, and P. They're all interrelated. And so, if I may, I'll sort of explain them all together. So we're here seeking permission to extend the contracts that we already have. This is a 7-county pilot that the Metro 7 counties, which I'm going to test me here to make sure I have them all, Adams, Arapahoe, Denver, Boulder, Douglas, Jefferson, Larimer, that's 7, I did it, are all entered into a contract with the Colorado Department of Human Services, as well as with 2 providers, Shiloh House and Savio House. The need, as you all have seen and heard in the legislature and in the media, is the need for placements and services for kids with high acuity mental health issues. some of those kids are coming out of detention and need proper assessments to determine what level of treatment and care they need. These 7 counties, along with the 2 providers, brainstormed about a year ago, how could we all work together to try to get these youth out of detention and back into their homes? And we came up with this notion, which was successful for us during COVID, when we would have kids who would return from being on the run, who tested positive for COVID, and foster homes and residential homes were reluctant to let them back into the facility until their symptoms of COVID and their quarantine time had expired. So that's kind of where this idea came up. We have been successful this year alone. The pilot has served 50 youth who have been exiting detention in an effort to go home. So what happens is those youth exit the detention center, they go into a residential brief stay at Shiloh House, where they receive a very extensive assessment that's conducted by Savio. That assessment is a verbal interview exchange with the child, it's a verbal interview with the family members, it's accompanying that child to outings in the community to see how they handle themselves in the community. It is an assessment with the school, how are they doing in school, what are the needs that they have in school, so that a well-packaged set of services can be delivered to that youth prior to their going home, in hopes that they'll be successful when they return to their community and to their home. And so far we've seen an 85% success rate that those children have been able to either go to a lower level of care, which would be a kin-like, or home to their own families and remain home successfully. So the pilot has been very positive. We did initially intend to serve 8 youth, and due to the hiring shortage and difficulty in hiring, our 2 providers were only able to hire staff to serve 4 youth. So we all agreed to go ahead and serve the 4 youth. That resulted in some leftover funds from the Colorado Department of Human Services that they have granted us permission to continue to expend that remaining amount of money, which hence brings me here today asking for these contract extensions so that we can expend that money, which should carry us through hopefully the end of April, middle of May, and then hopefully by then legislation will pass to bring more dollars forward to continue this program and hopefully to expand it across the state.
Great, Ruby. Thank you so much for that. Questions or comments for Ruby?
Again, Ruby, this is a program that's already in place, so this is nothing new.
Correct.
Thank you.
I guess my question is, it goes to, this is a pilot program, but then you talked about opportunities to expand through the state. I wonder if you could help me connect the dots then, because like we had a discussion yesterday with Dan pertaining to a human services program, and the disparity in services between rural counties versus these 7 metropolitan counties. And so you talk about taking the pilot program and expanding it through the state. How? I mean, different communities, different infrastructure capabilities, different social service levels. Well, I wonder if you could give us an idea. I mean, how in the world would this, how could this be applied to, this pilot program be applied to Raymer, Fort Morgan?
Sure. No, I completely understand. And that was the whole point in the beginning of piloting this. Let's start with 7 counties that have a good working relationship between them, 2 providers that also have good working relationships amongst the counties and with each other. First of all, to just see, will this work? Does it make a difference if we can get intense assessment and services in place to these children to be able to go home? What we found is it does work. Recognizing, though, that each community is very different, I think the State Department's goal in expanding this pilot is to then look locally within those communities. So in say Mesa County, for example, who are your nearby county partners that you could partner similar to how the metro counties have done, and who are your service providers on the western slope that you already have relationship with? So build a similar model in your community, but first we wanted to make sure that it worked. And the county stepped up again, partly because of our work together during COVID and kind of trying a similar model over COVID. So that will be up to the State Department to figure out how they're going to expand this, but that's why it initially has been a pilot. I think the statistics and the data have proven it's been successful, and so if the state is successful in leveraging the dollars to support not only keeping it operating here and hopefully growing it beyond 4 children, that they can also replicate it in other parts of the state.
Really good questions, and I'm glad again that we are focusing our county time, resources, and energy on these important issues related to child welfare. This is another area where citizens may not know we engage, but this represents a really high dollar value. I mean, it's $437,000 with the contract amendment with Savio House, $612 with Shiloh Home. And, we realize that that's blended and braided funding, but it's not insignificant. Those are real dollars. So when you think about efficacy and return on investment, you mentioned the 4 maybe expanding to more. Can you help us understand how that might grow?
Sure. I think it's going to be dependent upon either Shiloh or Savio being able to hire additional staff to provide these services to more families, or it's possibly even partnering with other service providers that do similar work to Savio and Shiloh here in the metro area, and then, of course, finding local providers in other areas in the state to provide something similar. We've learned a lot about the depth and quality of the assessment that's necessary, and ensuring that those services are in place before the children exit Shiloh House's respite care beds to go home. Those services have to be actually in place, ready to go before the child returns home, because what we often find is there's a gap, and then in that gap time is when things start to crumble and fall apart. So they've got a very structured, secure environment where they're staying while these assessments and services are getting in place, and then the two sort of happen together as the child returns home.
So what are some of the impediments to the hiring? I mean, it sounds like, I know that's a tough question, but.
Well, my understanding from both is just this is a very difficult population. These kids have really high needs. As far as on the residential side of things, which is the Shiloh House, keeping those staff safe, as well as keeping them where they can manage these youth's behaviors at times is a challenge. The pay, unfortunately, for these positions is relatively low, so it takes its toll on a staff person to encounter what they do sometimes with these youth. If any of you have had your moments with a difficult teenager, take that times about 20. And that's what these staff endure every day. So finding the right person is also a challenge, because they need to be patient and empathetic to help this young person see their way through this.
Well, I have 2 teens. They're pretty good. I don't know if I can handle 20 times that, though. That's pretty intense. Okay, any other questions or comments from the Board of County Commissioners?
No, sir.
I don't have any, because I asked questions when this came before us earlier this year.
Okay, and just to clarify, so this, we are approving this going forward, right? You do need the Board of County Commissioners to continue to approve this today, right?
Yes, we are the fiscal agent for this program, which is why we need the commissioner's approval to be the fiscal agent. Each county who has a child in one of these beds pays their portion for that child, but we're responsible for the money received by the state, as well as the invoicing to each county, as well as to the service provider. So that's why we need the board's approval.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to have that moment to review and make sure that the funds invested are meeting the needs and the projections that you provided to us, and we're not being casual about that. That's good. Let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay, any comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Oh, okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion with regard to items M through P.
So I have a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement amendment between Douglas County Human Services and 6 counties for a child welfare pilot project. This is item M.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0.
Please, the board, I do have a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Colorado Department of Human Services and Douglas County Department of Human Services, item N.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries 3-0.
I have a motion to approve a contract amendment with Savio House for Child Welfare Core Services and 7 County Child Welfare Pilot Project, and the 7 County Child Welfare Pilot Project in the amount of $437,396.
I'll second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0.
If it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve a contract amendment with Shiloh Home Incorporated, doing business as Shiloh House for Child Welfare Core Services and 7 County Pilot Project in the amount of $612,176, pardon me, excuse me, $612,176, and this is item P.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion?
You know, I just think, just to wrap it all up, I think it's, personally, I think it's great. I mean, obviously, this is something that came out of the exigencies of the COVID emergency, and yet this isn't just a COVID problem. I mean, this was something that existed beforehand. This was an issue within our society for several years. So, I mean, but I wasn't here when this program began, and when I first learned of it. Well, once again, I have to confess I had my doubts. It's always easy to say, well, listen, this sounds like a great human service project, but is this really the role of government here at the county level? And this was at a time when this was adopted, when I was still at the municipal level. And so I'm very glad to see that we are seeing success, that once again, we're doing it the Douglas County way. I guess our time of questioning, but Ruby, you may correct me if I do get this wrong. I mean, this really started out with our partnership with Larimer County and expanded beyond that, if I understand it right. And of course, Larimer County is a county very similar to Douglas County in many ways. Population centers are similar, land area is similar, overall county population is similar, and I think we shared a lot of similar philosophies about how to do business. And so to see this all come together, see the difference it's making, to keep it short, I speak in favor of the motion.
Thank you very much. Additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruby. So with that, we'll move on to item W, which is a construction contract for the concrete crushing and recycling project to Brandon Sand and Gravel Company, LLC, in the amount of $183,800 and $50,000 as a contingency fund. Douglas County project number CI 2023-037. Keith Burke presenting for staff.
Hi,
And you're
Dan Roberts presenting in Keith's place today.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
So this is a construction contract where we save all the concrete debris that we collect off our construction projects through the course of the year, and then we have it stockpiled out at our Waterton facility, and over the wintertime we crush that concrete and then we reuse it on our projects for the upcoming year. So this project, for the amount of $183,000, we'll save about $10 a ton for the material that's crushed on the project. We end up paying about $11 a ton for this material after it's crushed. If we were to buy it raw, it would be about $21 a ton. So we started doing this last year, reused most of the material we generated last year on the Quebec Lincoln University project. Most of the material we're going to crush this year is off of that same project, and we'll put it back into that project and into other projects around the county in the upcoming year. So this will be an ongoing project that we bring new contracts to you each and every year.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan?
I have none.
I do.
Oh, ma'am, we'll open it up for citizen comment in a moment.
I'm sorry, I had a question of this person.
I understand that. Right now, we're going to have questions from the Board of County Commissioners, and then we'll open it up for citizen comment. Thank you. You bet. Questions from the Board of County Commissioners?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dan, I mean, obviously, I have more than a passing familiarity with a lot of the projects that we have going on through the county with transportation. But what about, so is this solely for county use, or is this material that's also available for us to sell, do an in-kind participation with any of our municipalities?
We could, but our demand for the material exceeds what we're able to generate on an annual basis. So we can actually consume it all on county projects. And it's, as I mentioned, very cost effective. It saves us a lot of money to do that and to reuse that material without hauling it off to the landfill or some other site where it may be processed and reused.
So when we make use of this, can this be, I guess it always came down to, is it, it's going to be aggregate?
Correct, yes.
Can it be remixed as a concrete component, or does it have to be the aggregate component of the concrete mix when reused?
So what we're doing specifically with this contract is making base course for use under pavement. It actually can be crushed and reused in the manufacture of new concrete. Our specifications allow that. But for this project this year, it's all going to be reused as base course material.
Okay, so it's that foundational underlay when a roadbed is either dug up, relayed, expanded, any difference? Well, we have some interchange projects coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Can this go into interchange bridges and overpasses as material there?
Yeah, well, and so it depends on the project and the specifications. I'm not sure if CDOT allows recycled concrete to be reused in the manufactured new concrete. Douglas County does as part of our specifications. Most local governments do allow it. Still hasn't caught on. Still, most of the concrete that's getting crushed today probably gets reused as aggregate base course. And that's where you've seen a huge demand in the industry in the last several years. It really boils down to looking at the most cost-effective way to reuse this and to make sure that it is cost-effective. Because if it was costing us more money than buying raw material, we would have to think twice about this decision.
Right. Okay, cool.
Great. Any additional discussion from our board? Okay, let me open it up for any citizen comment. Any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Yes, ma'am. If you would could just state your name and where you're from for the record.
Good afternoon, my name's Katie Barrett, and I live in Castle Rock. My question is, what's the location of this concrete crushing operation, and will they have to expand to take care of these new tasks? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Additional citizen comment? Okay, any additional citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to our staff to answer that question. And ma'am, we're going to have staff answer your question.
Staff, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks for the question. I should have gone over that at the start. So this crushing facility is at our Waterton storage facility. We have several acres out there. It's up in the northeast part of the county. It's off of Moore Road and Waterton Road, so it's an industrial area. And there's a private concrete crushing facility there. So it is an appropriate land use for that site. And we won't need to expand that site to be able to do this there.
Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you, Dan. So with that, I'll close citizen comment, bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
I have a motion to approve a construction contract for the concrete crushing and recycling project to Brannan Sand and Gravel Company, LLC, in the amount of $183,800 and $50,000 as a contingency fund, Douglas County Project Number CI 2023-037.
Yeah, it sounds like a great use of county funds and a great use of material we're digging out of the ground anyhow. I will second.
Okay, we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have item X, which is a contract with You Are Not Alone, Mom to Mom, Yana M2M, beneficiary of Douglas County ARPA Suicide Prevention Grant Funding, in the amount of $180,400. Laura Cinconi from the Douglas County Mental Health Initiative presenting for staff. Laura?
Thank you, Commissioners, and I have just a few slides to accompany my comments this afternoon. So this contract before you this afternoon is one of the county's ARPA Suicide Prevention Grant Program contracts renewing for 2024. Yana was recommended as a beneficiary this year, which is the year that we started the grant program, at a total of $260,400 over the course of 2 years for the Strong Mamas Thriving Babies program, which is a voluntary peer-to-peer support and educational program for new moms in Douglas County. The board approved their initial contract this year for $80,000, and the recommendation from staff today is to renew that contract in 2024 for an additional $180,400. For those in the audience who may not be aware, but to refresh the board's memory as well, Yana Mom to Mom is a Highlands Ranch-based not-for-profit that offers outreach and peer support to mothers in Douglas County. They have recently developed the Strong Mamas Thriving Babies program, which offers a full support system for new mothers giving birth at a Douglas County hospital. For new moms that enroll, they receive a full year of wraparound support, including peer-to-peer support, referrals to organizations and businesses, classes, trainings, and an online community, and follow-up calls at 3, 6, 9, and 12 months postpartum. They have been partnering with Metropolitan State University School of Social Work to deliver these classes, fill out their roster of classes over their multi-week curricula, and have been continuing to build that throughout their 2023 contract term. So this year, Yana's biggest accomplishment has been building their program app, which I know is a big lift for them, but that has been fully developed and is available on the App Store. Essentially, the app provides a free platform for moms in the program to communicate with their cohort and with other moms who are in the program. They can access program materials, launch meetups, and talk about topics of their choosing. Yana's also been building out their program in preparation for a pilot launch in 2024, and has also hired an assistant program director. So this staffing is really important for them to launch and manage the pilot program, and then expand the program to additional hospitals in Douglas County. So just to reiterate, in 2024, this budget is really allowing Yana to maintain the staffing that will enable them to launch the pilot, expand to additional hospitals in the county, and then maintain the app and its HIPAA compliance, given the nature of the setting in which they're working with new moms. So in closing, as far as the 2023 term, Yana has been a good steward of these funds, good beneficiary, responsive to reporting, invoicing, and compliance with their 2023 contract, and has made sufficient progress on their work plan this year to allow for a full launch of a pilot program in 2024. So the recommendation would be to move forward with approval of the contract with You Are Not Alone Mom to Mom for the 2024 term. We also have the founder and CEO of You Are Not Alone Mom to Mom and her colleagues in the audience if you have additional questions or comments. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura, and thank you to Nikki. I would invite Nikki, if you have any comments for us, you're certainly welcome. We appreciate you as a great community partner.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. As I said, I'm Nikki Brooker, the founder and CEO of Yana, and I just want to thank you for putting the mental health of moms in the forefront, especially of our county. And as you had stated before about the mental health of our county and what suicide prevention does, not just financially, but in the ripple effect of what happens when we truly care for people. And we believe when you support the people who make the people, which are the moms, and when we support from the beginning and we get them from the start, we believe we're going to change the world, because that's generational change, and that's supporting from day one. So we did get we have a contract in negotiations right now to be able to finally pilot in January with a local hospital. And then we have other hospitals who are very interested in expanding this from there. So really exciting new things to happen in 2024. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
Well, Nikki, we know the tragic history out of which this important outreach was birthed, and you are a tremendous leader in this community, and I think it's so important for us to focus on the good work of the county and Yana in this service. And this isn't a small contract. It's $180,000, so we're really pleased and honored to partner with you. Any questions or comments for Nikki Brooker or staff?
I have none, thank you.
I do. Nikki, I'm going to ask a hard question.
Okay.
I apologize in advance because I've had to ask this question of folks before, of vendors before. So please keep an open mind because I do think it's actually a bit of a success story. But when you first came to us, and Laura brought you before us with the services that you could offer, but it was ARPA funding dollars. And the issue there was, of course, our concern of what are the reporting requirements. It's inherently a federal contract, and I don't know if it was part of our public comment, but I do know it was comment on the board in terms of the ability of your organization to remain compliant with the reporting. Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job with it, but I wonder, is that something that you've been, I hate to say struggling, because that's predeterminative almost in terms of outcome, but is that something that you feel like you've been able to deliver on in terms of the reporting requirements that we're required to be compliant with the federal government on? Because it sounds like you have, and this is great, but can you fill us in on some of those details?
Sure. And so we are required to give, and I don't know if you want to speak to it, but okay, so we're required to give a monthly statement to an invoice, so that's what we're calling it, to Laura and Barbara to tell what we're doing with the ARPA funds. And we understand 100% how important it is for government funding to be accounted for properly. So we've done that on a monthly basis to give our input as to where we're spending the ARPA funds dollars, and we're absolutely prepared to do that for 2024 as well.
I'll add, so this particular grant program is designated as revenue recovery. So we as a county had some flexibility with the reporting requirements that we put in place for the grant. But we have set a work plan which we require quarterly updates on, biannual reports. We require a monthly submission of invoices for actual expenses incurred, so we can be in compliance with any auditing requirements through ARPA, and Jana has been compliant and with all requirements.
Okay. Tough question. I appreciate you taking it serious and answering it, because I know that was an element of public concern, but it's all good news and great to hear. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Any other board comments or questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay, any citizen comment online?
No online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And with that, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
If it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve the contract with You Are Not Alone, Mom to Mom, otherwise called Jana M2M, beneficiary of Douglas County ARPA Suicide Prevention Grant Funding in the amount of $180,400. And this is item X-ray.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. With that, we'll move on to item 3A, and we are posted for a 2:30 public hearing. I know last week.
Are we going to approve the rest of the consent agenda? The ones you didn't just pull off?
We are. I'm going to share some comments with those that are here with us. I know many people just joined us for the public hearing starting at 2:30, and many of those had to wait an hour and a half only to have your matter continued. So we really want to honor your time on that important business for your community. But with that, I will accept a motion for the rest of the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve the requests in all items A through I, K through L, Q through V, and Y of the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Moving on to item 3A, which is the 2023 Developmental Disabilities Mill Levy Grant Awards in the amount of $445,720. Jennifer D'Ambrosio, Community Programs Coordinator, presenting for staff. I think I see Stephen instead. Hi.
Yes, surprise, it's me.
Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Stephen Dodgel, representing Community Development. The request before you today is to approve the Developmental Disabilities Mill Levy Grant recommendations for 2023 funding. In November 2001, the citizens of Douglas County approved a 1 mil property tax to be used for the benefit of citizens with developmental disabilities and their families. The county is the designated collection and distribution agent for all property taxes within Douglas County, including the DDML. The county has historically distributed 93% of the mill levy funds to developmental pathways, and 1.5% is used for treasury fees. The remaining 5.5% is retained to distribute through a competitive grant application process. Staff worked with an advisory council to review the applications submitted by organizations serving people with IDD. The current members of the advisory council are Carol Campos, Jenny Skinnard, Saeed Siddiqui, Aaron Chase, Diane Hitchingham, Ashley Eads, and Rush Hernandez. I would like to offer my sincere thanks and gratitude for all the time and hard work of this amazing advisory council that they contributed to this review process. Would any of the advisory council that are present today please stand up and be recognized? So thank you guys for your time on this. Appreciate it. 31 applications were submitted by 22 organizations, and the requests totaled $970,224. The Advisory Council established criteria in line with the Commissioner's priorities and used a weighted evaluation tool to develop funding recommendation for the Board's consideration. This year, the budget for the competitive grant was $445,720,000. The Advisory Council recommended funding for 24 applications based on the scores earned during the evaluation process. The recommendations can be categorized into 6 groups. The following slides will show the individual organizations by category, provide a short program description, and the funding awards recommended. Many of the organizations are here today, in person or virtually. Examples of the funding recommendations will be cited as we move through the slides. For employment, Dirt Coffee and Lone Tree Art Center have been recommended for employment programs. And Tall Tales Ranch, Wellspring Housing, and Continuum have received recommendations to fund various housing projects. Awards for respite and adult day care are recommended for the Main Mission and South Suburban Parks and Recreation. Awards for To the Rescue and Wellspring are recommended to help fund the purchase of wheelchair accessible vehicles and to provide transportation to participants. For socialization and personal development, 9 organizations received recommendations: Highlands Ranch Community Association, Easter Seals, Feel the Beat, Jewish Family Services, Broken Tree, Lone Tree Art Center, Star Institute, and Special Olympics will provide a wide variety of camping, educational opportunities, cultural experiences, and recreational programs. Therapeutic programs recommended for funding are Praying Hands Ranch, Therapies for Hope, and the Town of Parker. These organizations provide therapeutic services such as horse riding, therapeutic intensive programs, recreation and swimming lessons, and to help people with IDD develop coordination, build confidence, and improve their socialization skills. It's staff's recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners approve the 2023 Developmental Disabilities Mill Levy Grant recommendations by the Advisory Council. Should these recommendations be approved, award letters have been prepared for distribution to the organizations in attendance today. I would like to end by thanking all the staff who helped support this grant application process, and would like to reiterate my thanks for the Advisory Council for their wisdom and insight. And finally, I'd like to thank all the organizations serving the IDD populations who are receiving these funds and turning them into acts of love and compassion. Thank you for your tireless work and enormous impact. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I know we have some organizations here that I'm sure have some comments as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any organizations that would like to speak to this issue? Okay, yes, ma'am, please.
Hi there, I'm Suzanne Opp, and I am speaking on behalf of Praying Hands Ranch. Just want to thank you so much for this award. And in using the word of the day, collaboration, we wanted to excitedly announce the union between PHR and Promise Ranch. We're a similar organization, and we're both now occupying the same location, and we're collaborating to offer even more services to the community. As we move into the new year, please be on the lookout for more exciting news of that union, and we just want to thank you again.
Great, thank you so much. Additional organization comments?
Good afternoon, County Commissioners. My name is Peter Barber. I'm with Wellspring Community. This is my friend Carly. And we just want to say thank you. It warms my heart to see so many worthy organizations doing good work with the IDD population, and knowing that this county is a place where we are making life accessible and adapting our county so that all can participate fully in it. So thank you very much.
I need to add something to, I'm gonna move out next year, and I think about the security system that we need officers for the apartment, because we might have fire drills, we might have issues with the clients, so we need like help like that. But for me, I'll be moving out of my house next year, and I'll be moving in to an apartment.
How about a big round of applause for Carly? Carly, you're a friend of Douglas County, and so are you, Peter Barber. I want to share, too, we just had our sort of 1950s traditional Christmas and holiday gathering here at the county, and the Collective, which is a division of Wellspring, they provided all of the pastries and the goodies. Some might say they're too sweet, but I like sweet this time of year. That's really great. Any additional organizational comments? Yeah. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Chris Overton. I'm here on behalf of Easter Seals Colorado, and I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support. It counts for so much, and we're able to do what we do because of you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you to Easter Seals, absolutely.
Hi, County Commissioners. My name is Nikki Coolish, and I'm here on behalf of Maine Mission. We serve the underserved, our IDD population, and kiddos that have pretty significant PTSD, including those that came through the STEM shooting. So we're really grateful to have this grant monies so that we can serve additional fabulous humans in our county. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us. Additional organization comment? The rush to the podium. Welcome.
Hi, Laura McKenna with Tall Tales Ranch, and this is Emma Benner, our program manager at Tall Tales Ranch. We, of course, want to thank you for all the support we've received from the county through the mill levy funding. Past funding, we were able to create a whole workforce development program. And Emma is our manager of the Tall Tales Coffee Company. And in that time, just in the last year, we had to make her go from part-time to full-time because we have hired 20 individuals with IDD in our coffee company program, thanks to the mill levy funding. And we want to keep that up. But as you know, to have a quality of life, you just don't need meaning of employment. You need to have a safe, secure place to call home. And so we're excited to announce that we'll be able to start construction in, next summer on our project at Tall Tales Ranch. And we're getting this funding for soft cost, which is so not very exciting, but it does make all the difference in the world to get things going. So thank you so much for the housing that you're going to help us provide.
Absolutely. Thank you to Tall Tales. Additional organization comments? Okay. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Just bumped into the ladies, so I wanted to look around. My name is Paul Villamaria. I'm with Continuum of Colorado, and just would like to echo the thanks from others to the county for the support. We deliver housing in the county, and it allows individuals to have more of a community living standard than maybe an institutionalized standing. Ours are very medically heavy needs in the living, and the dollars that we're going to get from this sort of grant allows us to improve the infrastructure and their mobility. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Continuum. Additional organizational comment? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Can we get him one of the handheld microphones, please?
Thank you, Dan.
Hey, we're Brooklyn Creed is so grateful to you guys and all you do for not only the IDD, but all the human aspects that you do. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate you too. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lee Chandler with the Lone Tree Arts Center. Thank you so much for this funding. It's really critical for us to continue with our sensory inclusive performances. We're a pioneer in providing cultural experiences for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and this funding really helps us do that and makes us a place where there's something for everyone. But also, very importantly, it allows us to continue our partnership with Wellspring Communities, some of whom are here, hello, for our Usher program, which helps people who come to our sensory inclusive performances see people who look like them as ushers and makes them feel really, really included. And also allows us to continue our partnership with Easter Seals on a sensory inclusive job fair to help provide job skills and connection with employers that are looking to hire. It's just really critical. So thank you for supporting our mission and also for supporting the community in general.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Additional organization comment?
Good afternoon, County Commissioners. I'm Summer Aiden, and on behalf of the Highlands Ranch Community Association and the Therapeutic Recreation Program and all the people we're able to serve because of your support, we say thank you to your approval and your support and the tireless work of the advisory committee and the Douglas County staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Additional organization comment? Anyone else? Okay, let me bring it back to the board for any further discussion or comments or questions of staff.
You know, I'll just say that I have always been really proud that Douglas County has recognized and supported a very special population in our community with our mill levy tax that we have. And so this is really an exciting opportunity to share a portion of that tax. I think we might keep, I want to say 96% and share back 4% or something like that. So that's what these letters that we have available for everyone today. So this is our entire community investing in another community, so we are a better community in the long run. So thank you for everyone who is here today for this opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
I think, I was here when we passed this mill levy, and knew a few of the organizers who were key in getting this done. And it's just amazing to me to watch what we've done, really to be trailblazers in terms of, as a county, providing this safety net for our developmentally disabled community. And we really are leaders in the state. And we've become a place where individuals with disabilities, there was a time when there was a second-class aspect to their citizenship. And Douglas County stood firm that no, these are Americans. These are our neighbors. These are people who belong here, and we have found a place for them here. And so, I don't know. I'm excited to get the letters out, and I'm excited to make this motion and get this approved.
Great. Well, let me open it up for any citizen comment. Any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item, either in person or online?
I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Well, if it pleases the board, it is my distinct pleasure to make a motion to approve the 2023 Developmental Disabilities Mill Levy Grant Awards in the amount of $445,720.
Second.
Almost there. So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? I'll just add, I'm going on my 6th year being on the board of Developmental Disabilities, which receives Developmental Pathways, which gets a really significant proportion of our mill levy funding on an annual basis. But our partnership with this community is really tremendous, and this is the good work of the county. These are the significant efforts and services that I think truly matter to those we serve, and we hear about that frequently. I'm also really pleased that our board has unanimously supported the work of Wellspring and developing the La Quinta into a residential facility and an opportunity for respite for this critical community and their caretakers. If you're a caretaker here, thank you. Thank you for all you do. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that carries 3-0. With that, I think we're going to take a photograph. So if you are here on this item, if you want to join us up front, I think Drew will have us in the front for a photo. And letters as well.
You might get to be a front. Yeah. Switch this a little bit together.
Tall people in the back.
Not too much for you. No, I think that'll work. Thank you. All right. Y'all don't go too far.
Okay, and with that, I know we are already 15 minutes late, and we have a lot of citizens here ready for the item that was continued from last week. I'll ask if there's any commissioner comments, other business, or anything from our county manager before we adjourn. Okay.
I do have a comment.
Sure.
I would just like to explain to everybody what happened here today. So at 11:29, the commissioners received an agenda for today's meeting that showed everything in the consent agenda, A through I, was going to be heard on the consent agenda. When I came down here, I saw a new agenda that showed that 7 items had been pulled by Commissioner Layden for discussion. So we all recognize what happened. The clock was run out, so the citizens who were here today to speak before 1:30 were not able to address their government. So I would just like to know from my fellow commissioners what they are afraid of from hearing from their citizens. And I'll just say that you two aren't fooling anybody but yourselves. We all can see right through what you did. And actually, today was probably the first time you've been very transparent, so thank you.
Well, a typical embarrassment for the county, Commissioner Thomas. This is the last time that this hearing room will be used for your personal issues. We do invite citizen comment, and if you did not get heard today, we want you to show up as often as you can. You can also email us at bocc@douglas.co.us or call us directly on our phone number, 660-7411. That's 303. We do want to hear from you, and what was nice about today is we heard about the business and the good work of the county. Not a commissioner's personal issues, but the good work of the county, and we appreciate you showing up. Any additional commissioner comment?
I think we did some good work on behalf of the people of Douglas County today.
I agree. And with that, the next business meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. We'll take about a 5-minute moment for staff to reset, and then we'll reconvene. Thank you.